Vous avez déjà fait votre discours? Déjà parlé?
Hein?
Vous avez déjà parlé?
Non.
Okay. So, just asking the guy if he's already spoken. Yeah, it's still too early. I don't think the service has started yet. So this guy who came out of the church is working with the Itinéraire, which is a French language magazine produced by Montreal homeless people, and he's here today to speak about the Itinéraire. So anyhow, at least the wind's not blowing down my signs as much as it was. So yes, just to bring things up to date, as it were, it is Sunday the 6th of November 2016, and I'm engaged in my alternative spiritual practice of protesting against Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy. And the main emphasis of my protest these days is protesting against the immoral, unethical, borderline criminal, and quite frankly, batshit crazy misuse of Canada's blasphemy law by the Unitarian Universalist Association in clergy sex abuse cover-up legal bullying, which seeks to conceal such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape committed by certain Unitarian Universalist ministers, to quote two choice phrases from the arrogant and aggressive cease and desist demand letter that the Unitarian Universalist Association's Canadian attorney, Stikeman Elliott Barristers and Solicitors Litigation Lawyer, Maitre Marc-Andre Coulombe, had me served with in June of 2012. So yeah, it's a little over 4 years ago now since the Unitarian Universalist Association accused me of blasphemous libel. I'm still waiting to be arrested, still waiting to be charged, and to be honest, it's just not going to happen. For starters, the pretext for accusing me of the criminal act of blasphemous libel is, extremely false. Maitre Marc-Andre Coulombe accused me of making unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. Now, I knew that I had blogged about some Unitarian Universalists who had been charged, tried, and convicted and sentenced to jail terms for committing such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. So right off the bat, they were not unfounded at all. In fact, my blog posts were based on newspaper reports about these cases of pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalists. And quite frankly, they weren't particularly vicious. My blog posts were pretty straightforward. I didn't use a whole lot of adjectives, such as despicable, for instance, in my blog posts. I just told the basic facts. So they definitely were not unfounded. And in my view, they were not really vicious in any sense of the word. So I, wrote back to Maitre Coulombe in one of my, first responses to this accusation, and I said, I'm having considerable difficulty finding the Emerson Avenger blog posts that match your description of unfounded and vicious allegations, blah, blah, blah. Please provide me with titles of the blog posts in question, or URLs for the blog posts in question, or dates for the blog posts in question, so that I can go and read the blog posts you were speaking about in this cease and desist demand letter, because they were not identified in the initial demand letter specifically which posts he was talking about. So I expected, Maitre Coulombe to come back and clearly identify exactly which blog posts he was claiming contained unfounded and vicious allegations, yada, yada, yada. Well, he did no such thing. He wrote back to me and he said, your claim not to be able to find the offending material is not credible. In other words, he was essentially calling me a liar. Certainly saying that my claim not to be able to find the blog posts lacked credibility. So I wrote back to him and I said, well, no, you don't quite understand. I mean, I do know where I posted blog posts about Unitarian Universalists who were charged, tried, and convicted of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. I just don't know where the unfounded ones are. You tell me where the unfounded ones are that you're talking about. And I never heard from Maitre Marc-Andre Coulombe again. That was his second letter telling me essentially that I'm a liar in saying that I couldn't find any blog posts that matched his description. Was the last legal letter I ever got from Maitre Marc-Andre Coulombe. I can't say that my response to him was the last response. I actually have emailed him quite regularly. It's dropped off, in the last year or two, but for the first year or two, I was emailing him almost every month or two, demanding that he back up his accusations with evidence, present his evidence and so on. That wasn't the only accusation, by the way. There's a couple of other accusations in his first letter. He accused me of sexual harassment of female Unitarian Universalist ministers. I think the exact accusation was threatening and defamatory conduct amounting to sexual harassment of women Unitarian Universalist ministers. If I remember correctly, it's that or something very, very close to that. And he accused me of, essentially sexual harassment of Reverend Dr. Kelly Murphy Mason for using the colloquialism sucks and blows at the same time to describe her two-faced hypocrisy. And he also accused me of threatening and defamatory conduct amounting to sexual harassment of Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein for saying that she'd had a sodomy fantasy. In fact, not only had Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein posted what she called a sodomy fantasy to her Pace Bang blog, but it was more of a, I don't know, it's almost like what they call revenge porn. Essentially what happened is Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein got very upset with Republican State Senator Bill Napoli for statements he made regarding rape. Essentially, Senator Bill Napoli got into some trouble back in, I think, 2005 or 2006 for making statements that were certainly open to question and were certainly, would be seen as offensive in terms of rape, and it was within the context of abortion laws. He was essentially saying that, the only way he would accept abortion was in the case of very extreme, rape and so on. And the way he said it was definitely a little too graphic for some people's taste. So Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein's response to this was to basically be, even more graphic than Senator Bill Napoli. Reverend Victoria Weinstein posted a long spiel denouncing Senator Bill Napoli's statement on her Peace Bang blog, and she concluded her blog post saying, here's my sodomy fantasy. South Dakota State Senator Bill Napoli anally impaled on the Statue of Liberty's torch. That's pretty much an exact word-for-word quote from her blog post. Might be one or two minor errors, but I think I've got it very exactly memorized. I'm pretty sure it's 100% right. So one more time, here's my sodomy fantasy. South Dakota State Senator Bill Napoli anally impaled on the Statue of Liberty's torch. So, you know, this is, I think, behavior that could be reasonably described as conduct unbecoming a minister. I think it could be reasonably described as verbal and psychological abuse to some extent. And I think it can also be reasonably described as you know, a rape fantasy, imagining Bill Napoli getting... Oh, you don't look too happy there, Dave. You do not look very happy at all. You have a bit of a frown there. Can't... Oh, there's a smile. There's a smile. That's much better. So that's David Rollert, the husband of the minister of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, Reverend Diane Olenek Rollert. And I have some video of David Rollert erasing my chalk slogans that protest against Unitarian Universalist misuse of blasphemy law to cover up child sex abuse, etc. Which basically means that I have video evidence of David Rollert not only being totally complicit in Unitarian Universalist cover-up and denial of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, but actively involved in Unitarian Universalist cover-up and denial of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. Because when David Rollert or any other Montreal Unitarian erases my chalk slogans that protest against the Unitarian Universalist Association's misuse of blasphemy law to cover up such despicable crimes, pedophilia and rape, or other Unitarian Universalist cover-up and denial of child sex abuse, he's part of the cover-up. He's covering up the cover-up, and in covering up the cover-up, he's covering up the actual sexual abuse that occurs within the Unitarian Universalist religious community. So I suspect that's why David didn't look too happy this morning, because I posted that video with my commentary on it too.
Toujours aussi malade.
Quoi?
T'es toujours aussi malade.
Moi je suis malade?
Malade, ça. Ben ouais.
C'est moi qui est malade?
Ben, t'es pas tout seul à être malade, moi aussi. Ben, c'est bon.
Non, mais une minute là. Quand vous disiez malade,
C'est comme je viens de dire.
ouais, c'est un mot qui est...
C'est vague un peu.
C'est vague un peu, mais ça peut dire malade mental. Est-ce que vous êtes en train de dire que je suis un malade mental?
Il y a du... Oui, je dirais ça, oui. Parce que
Oui, je
pour
suis un
moi,
malade
la définition, ben moi, je suis un défenseur
Ok, allez-y, défendre
J'ai pas
votre...
besoin de me défendre, je vais avant de dire
Ok,
que je
une
suis...
minute, il y a autre chose à faire ici.
Bon, ben fais ton job.
Et ma job, c'est ça, c'est ma job. Et je vais garder ça en tête.
J'expliquerai une autre fois.
Alors, vous pouvez revenir et expliquer avec moi maintenant. So here we have Yves Marceau, who claims to be a defender of free speech, and basically calling me mentally ill on video. Looks like my battery's almost done here, but this is a very, very foolish thing for Yves Marceau to do, but it shows the typical attitude of Unitarian Universalists. I'm protesting against Unitarian Universalist misuse of blasphemy law to cover up such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers, and Yves Marceau is saying I'm malade, ill, unwell. I think it'd be fair to say that the pedophiles and rapists who are responsible for the root causes of this protest are rather more justifiably described as malad than someone who's protesting against not only the clergy sex abuse itself, but the past and ongoing cover-up and denial thereof that Unitarian Universalists engage in. And here we have in the middle Reverend Diane Roller, and there's David. Reverend Diane Roller is very not only complicit but implicated in the cover-up and denial of Unitarian Universalist clergy misconduct, because Reverend Diane Roller has tried to shut down my protest in front of the church, which protests against these issues. Now, it should be mentioned